Does the criteria in place ever cause challenges or questions with people? What have you come across?
I have definitely had questions. I have had, people say, well, teachers have been telling me for several years he's probably really high. And honestly, and it's probably my experience sitting at a table for totally different, but for sitting at like IEP meetings for qualifying for different disabilities or things, I always go back to the data. And again, that is not everything. I'm not a data person, end all be all at all. I am whole kid 100%. But I always go back to, I hear you. And there may be things that, your child is really great at and other things going on, and not to discredit that they are a high achieving student. I use that language quite a bit. But I just, say that there is a difference, and that it is hard to qualify and quantify that and show that. But I always go back to the numbers, and I go back over the report, and I'll pull out a bell curve, and I'll show where we fall, and I'll say this is where most students fall. And even if you have a high, you're high average, and that's awesome. But we have to use that scale to help us best be able to articulate the difference in the student before we jump in, because a lot of students have definitely looked like they should be in there. And every year there are kids who, when we get those scores back and I start talking to teachers about who looks like is going to place, especially the third grade teachers, because that's when we kind of do our big launch. I'm always assessing new kids and things like that. But when we look at them every year, there will be kids who they expected to see and they're not on the list, or kids that are on there and they are completely shocked. And that's where I live and breathe by that chart that I talked about, that Janice Szabos chart. And I always bring this up and I say, okay, I just want you to read over this, reflect on that student. I always want to give them time. I could go back and read over this and think about the scores I just showed you, and looking at that chart as a quick and easy way to kind of tease through. And I, knock on wood, I have always come back full circle, and we've landed on a good place, and it's never been a continued battle of if they should be or shouldn't be. That's been good.
Enjoyed this short clip? That was just a sneak peek into a full episode on the Teacher Edition podcast. We are passionate about supporting Christian educators like you. Looking for more inspiration and practical strategies you could use today? Subscribe now wherever you get your podcasts. Brought to you by BJU Press.